y'all, it's your girl Chastity. I just want to come on today and share a little bit about how my labor and delivery went. So basically, I just want to share how I avoided a stalled labor. Stalled labor, if you've never heard that term, is very common now, more so than ever, in hospital births. C-sections are about 50% or higher of percentage of the pregnancies that are happening in hospitals. And a lot of it is largely due to the hospital's procedures and less of because of like mom's condition or baby's condition. Look at that cute face. I went into the hospital contracting. Well, first of all, I went full term and I was at 40 weeks and 2 days. And I was like, all right, it's time for this baby to go. This baby to come on out. So what I did was I talked to one of my friends who had a midwife who recently just had a baby. And she basically gave me a concoction to make. It's called the labor cocktail. If you haven't heard of it, it's basically 4 ingredients. It's almond butter, castor oil, champagne, and apricot nectar. So basically I went to the supermarket, got those ingredients, mixed them all up, and you have to drink the whole thing. Like, it gives you the exact portion. And you drink the whole thing, and within a couple hours, you're supposed to start contracting. And then within 24 hours, deliver the baby. So I took that on, I believe, a Sunday evening around 5:30, hoping to be in the hospital by midnight to deliver on Monday, July 1st, I think. And so basically, because I was having some minor contractions, but they weren't like progressing or anything. So I took the concoction around 5:30 p.m. And by midnight, I was having contractions and they were like intensifying. So I was like, okay, they're happening and they keep happening. So let's go ahead and get ready to go to the hospital. So we made our way to the hospital. And that was like, we got checked in and admitted around 2:30 in the morning because we left around like 1 here from home. And I was having like full-blown contractions at that point. Like, they kept coming and coming and coming like every like 8 or so minutes, right? So I remember my doc saying that if my contractions are at least 7 minutes apart, to go ahead and get ready to go to the hospital. So I forgot the part where I was supposed to call him first. So I just went to the hospital. And so it was me and my husband and our little one, Elijah. So we made it to the hospital. By the time they hooked me up to the machines and everything, it was like 2:30 in the morning. And on July 1st. And they basically just strapped me to the bed and put me like on the heart monitor to monitor my heart rate and the baby's heart rate. The baby's heart rate was fine. My heart rate was fine. But then my contractions slowly started like slowing down, like this to a full stop, where they were like monitoring the contractions on the screen, but you couldn't even see any contractions happening after a while. So I was like, okay, well, what now? So then they decided to give me the Pitocin. And this is like the procedure step by step of how all these pregnancies that are turning into C-sections are happening. And basically the whole point of the story is me sharing what happened so you can familiarize yourself. And then also want to share my techniques for how I avoided the stalled labor C-section dilemma. So, hold on. We got a little fussy baby. He just ate. Look at that belly. Just ate. Say hi to the people. Say, my name is Emmanuel. Say, hey, Emmanuel. Okay, anyways, so my contractions came to like a full stop. And at that point, they gave me the Pitocin. They were like, the Pitocin is supposed to go ahead and intensify and increase your contractions, if not get them started. So if you don't know what Pitocin is a man-made version of the hormone that your body naturally produces called oxytocin. Oxytocin is that hormone that gives you that euphoric feeling when you're happy or when you have sex or after you run and you're like, you feel like you're on this like like your energy is up. That comes from the hormone oxytocin that your body naturally produces when you're happy and through those different events. So they create it to try to force your body to do something it's technically not ready to do. So, and because you do have to remember that a hospital is a business, so they're looking at you like you're a person at a restaurant sitting to eat, and they're trying to turn their tables. They're trying to turn those beds, right? So you got to keep that in mind, that it is a business at the end of the day. So their number one priority is to run up your bill as high as possible and get you in and out. So that's why they do the Pitocin, to kind of like force your labor on you. And the Pitocin, which is the man-made version, it actually makes your contractions worse, way worse than they normally would be naturally. So although naturally experiencing contractions are intense, very intense, the Pitocin makes it like 10 times worse. And this is my 4th baby, so take my word for it. And if you don't want to take my word for it, that's perfectly fine. Ask any mother who's had a baby in a hospital, or even women who decide to have their babies at home. Ask them why. But yeah, so they gave me the Pitocin, a little dose, and that was supposed to intensify my contractions. So they let us like an hour or so go by, and it didn't really, it started to intensify my contractions. Like you could see on the monitor that I was having contractions again, but I wasn't feeling anything. Now, I did pray to the Lord to have me experience the minimal amount of contractions. So no pain, shouted. I prayed for no pain. So I think I got my prayers answered for the most part until it got real later on. So I was having the contractions, but then they started saying that the baby's heart rate kept dipping. Now, when you do take Pitocin, it's bad for the baby, because what it does is it makes your muscles contract. And like I said, it's intensified, so it's a lot stronger than it normally would be. So your baby's like in a little sack, and your muscles around it are like going like this and squeezing the baby, right? That sounds horrible, and it is, but this has become like second nature in our medical system and labor and delivery. So basically the baby's heart rate kept dipping, which means it kept dropping. Like, so his heart rate was slowing down, which can be dangerous, right? We don't want the baby's heart ever to stop. So they were like, all right, well, we're going to check you and see if you're contracted anymore, or if you dilated anymore. And of course, I didn't dilate at all. So when I went in there and they checked me, I was 3 centimeters. So I went in with 3 centimeters already dilated. So the nurse was saying that when she spoke to the doctor, my doctor, that he said that we're going to go ahead and let me rest for the night and try the Pitocin again in the morning. So they took me off the Pitocin after they had increased the dosage twice, because the baby's heart rate kept dipping. So at this point, they're making the baby's heart rate dip, and then with the Pitocin, and then they took me off of it because I was not really getting any progress from doing it anyway. So, okay, let me switch positions. Oh, baby. Oh. You keep pulling my hair. Now, where we at? So they, I lost my train of thought. So what happened was they let me rest for the night and said that they were going to try the Pitocin again in the morning. And if I did not dilate from the Pitocin in the morning, that they were going to go ahead and schedule me for a C-section. No, ma'am. No, thank you. That was my reaction, right? So I was like, okay. And at that point, I was pretty upset with myself and upset with the whole process, because I knew this could and would happen. And I was disappointed how quickly they decided that a C-section was going to be the way to go. Now, was it medically necessary? Absolutely not. Did the baby's heart rate return to normal once they got me off the Pitocin? Absolutely. So they were like, let's let your body naturally take its course. We're going to let you rest for the night, and then we'll try again in the morning. So I, at that point, was like, I need to take matters into my own hands and trust my body, because I am not going to sit here and allow them to just do what they're doing and then just schedule me for a C-section that's not medically necessary. I didn't have any complications throughout my pregnancy. They did try to diagnose my child with something very early on in my pregnancy, which I'll discuss another time. But my baby's perfectly healthy. He came out perfectly fine, so there was nothing wrong, thank God. And whoa. And so I was like, all right, I need to take matters into my own hands. So at that point, I got my phone. First, I prayed. I was like, Lord, this pregnancy is in your hands. This is your child that I'm going to deliver. I'm nothing but a vessel. And I just want you to take over at this time. I don't want to trust no man, no doctor, no nurse. I just want to put it in your hands, Lord. And I trust that you're going to have me to deliver this baby boy nice and healthy. And I prayed that. And then I grabbed my phone and I was about to start Googling stuff. Like, I'm a research scientist. And I researched everything. And I found it. So I grabbed my phone and I was like, all right, what can I do? Like, what can I look up? And it just dropped in my spirit right at that moment. Like, literally, bing, like a light bulb, stalled labor. So I was like, stalled labor. Yeah, my labor got stalled. Like, I started out in labor when I got here, and now I'm not having any kind of activity in my labor. So I Googled stalled labor. Do you know an article, which I will link below, came up recently from 2018, discussing how it's very common to experience stalled labor in hospitals now because of their protocol. Their protocol is to get you in the bed, keep you strapped to the bed so that you're immobile, so that your body can't naturally flow, and then shoot you up with Pitocin to force your body, and then your body stops because the baby's heart rate drops. So then they stop. And it's like a whole step-by-step. It went step-by-step basically in the article of exactly what had just happened to me. So at the end of the article, it talks about ways to avoid a stalled labor or to reactivate your labor. So I'm going through the list, and number 2 says nipple stimulation. And that will produce that hormone oxytocin if you stimulate them, right? So essentially, to be frank, stimulating your nipples to arouse you, you know what I mean? That arousal feeling you get produces the oxytocin, right, in your body naturally. So I said, all right, it's 2:00 in the morning at this point. My husband was dozing off, falling asleep, getting ready for a C-section in his mind. And in my mind, I was like, Holy Ghost, send your angels and come on and take over, because we're not. I looked at my husband, I was like, I will walk out of this hospital before they try to give me a C-section. Because I done had 3 boys already, no C-section. I've had complications with my labors in the past. I've had gestational diabetes. I've had preeclampsia. And I still had natural babies, healthy babies. So, and I thank God for that. So, I started, rubbing my nipples, and kind of sounds like TMI, but I'm sharing this to help someone else. You're so cute. I'm sharing this to help someone else because I wish I would have had easy access to this information. I had to research it myself. But, so I started doing that, and I felt like I wasn't stimulating myself enough, so I asked my husband to help. He was dozing off asleep, so I went into the bathroom, and I called on the Holy Ghost, and I asked God to have his presence enter and to, just go ahead and take over, and that all my strength comes from him, and that he would give me the strength. I kept just declaring that the strength of the Lord will get me through this moment, will get me through this labor and delivery with a healthy baby and a healthy mommy. So I literally got in the spirit and started, stimulating my nipples. Within about 30 minutes, I was having full-blown contractions, y'all. Full-blown, like 3 minutes apart. And like I was having contractions every 3 minutes, and they were like so strong, right? So at this point, I'm like rocking back and forth, having contractions, trying to breathe, trying to move around. At this point, I took the heart monitor off, and I was like, I don't care about your stupid monitor. I'm going to do what I need to do. And I was just trusting my body and trusting the Holy Spirit. I don't recommend that you just do whatever you want in the hospital. You are under the care of physicians and nurses who are very experienced. So always consult with them and talk to them and let them know what's going on. I had a great nurse that was there with me through that. And she basically was like, we have procedures that we have to follow. You have to stay on the monitor a certain amount of time so we can track it. But other than that, you can get up and walk around and do whatever you feel you need to do within this room. So I was like, all right, cool. So she came back in the room at like 3 o'clock in the morning to check on me because I guess she saw I was off the monitors for a long time. And she walked in on me having full-blown contractions, rocking back and forth like this on the edge of the bed. And so she's like, are you having contractions? Mind you, before I did the nipple stimulation, I was not having anything. Nothing was happening. And I was like, yeah. She's like, what happened? How did you just start having contractions like this? And I told her I just started stimulating my nipples and it just started. And she was like, wow, like I've never seen anybody do that before. So I was like, yeah, I'm not trying to have a C-section, so I'm trying to do whatever I can. So I couldn't even really talk much at this point because they were that heavy, the contractions. So I was having contractions for about a good 4 hours before I just couldn't even take it anymore. Like I was calling on Jesus. I kept repeating mind over matter, mind over matter. My body can do anything. I can do anything with God's strength. And like I was just literally repeating that over and over, mind over matter through my contractions. So after a certain point, the nurse was like, you probably should get some rest. Do you want some painkillers or an epidural? And I had bad experiences in the past with the epidural, so I wasn't really feeling it. But I went ahead and was like, all right, let me just get the medication instead. And I was like, how long does the medication last? And she was like, it only lasts about an hour. I was like, all right, fine. She goes to get the medication, and as soon as she walked out the door, she walked right back in, and she was like, I think you should do the epidural because like it'll last longer and you can get some rest because you're clearly tired from all the contracting you've been doing. And she checked me again, and I had only, after all those contractions, 4 hours of contractions, I had only dilated for 1 centimeter. So I went from 3 centimeters to 4 centimeters. Talk about misery. I was like, I just went through all this pain just to dilate 1 centimeter. So I was like, at this point, I was like, yeah, because I felt like I started trembling because I couldn't take the pain anymore. So I was like, all right, go ahead, get the epidural. The anesthesiologist came in like less than 10 minutes. He was like so quick and so accurate. I was just so happy. I was like, angels are covering me right now and covering everyone that I'm under their care. And he went ahead, got the epidural. Within 30 minutes, my whole like belly down was numb. And so I got some rest. So I slept till about 6:30 in the morning. And when the nurse came in, she said that I was having contractions all night, like full-blown contractions all night, like 2-3 minutes apart all night. They were even going off the Richter scale because they were so intense. But I wasn't feeling them at this point because I had the epidural. So now it's 6:30 in the morning, and they're about to do the shift change at 7 o'clock. So my nurse was leaving, and I was going to get a new nurse. And basically, she was like, I'm going to check you now and see, if there's been any progress. And then we'll go from there, whether we need to give you the Pitocin again or schedule your C-section or what. So she checked me again. Still 4 centimeters, guys. Still 4 centimeters after all night. So, I was so disappointed, but I kept my faith. I was like, you know what? I'm still not having a C-section. The new nurse came in. So I was waiting for the new nurse. 7 o'clock rolls around, and the new nurse comes in. The lead nurse, she's like, okay, I'm going to check you and see where you're at, and we're going to see what to do from there. So she checks me, and she says, I was checked 30 minutes ago, right, at 6:30, and I was 4 centimeters. She checks me again at 7 o'clock, and the new nurse says, you're 8 centimeters, but the baby's still up high. So we need to do some exercises or something to get you to get the baby to come down. Mind you, the day before, the doctor did try to break my water, but nothing burst, nothing happened. So my water was still intact at this point, and I'm 8 centimeters. So I was shocked that I was 8 centimeters in 30. I dilated 4 centimeters in 30 minutes, y'all. I was like, what? I was like, oh, that ain't nothing but the Lord. That ain't nothing but God. So I was like, okay, great. So not even 10 minutes later, the other nurse comes in, the other new nurse comes in, and she's like, I heard you're 8 centimeters and your last baby slid out. Whoa. Whoa. Anyways, so where was I? Jeez. Okay. So the nurse was like, we're going to go ahead and get ready to deliver the baby. Like, she came in there with her intense energy, ready to deliver that baby. She didn't care that my baby was still up high. She was like, that baby's coming, and it's coming now. I was like, you know what? I like your energy. Thank you. I just want to have a natural birth. And so she started getting the room ready to deliver the baby. My water still hadn't even broken. But my God, man, you gotta have faith, people.
You got to have faith. Don't ever lose your faith.
And what I've learned through the tests and trials that God puts us through is that you have to hang on to the very last second, the very last minute, second, hour, day. I'm telling y'all, it's a test for real from God. And basically, He like makes you wait till the very last second to then pull through. And that's what he's done here in this situation. Like, they're talking about scheduling me for a C-section in an hour or two. And he dilated me 4 centimeters to the point where they could prepare to deliver. And by the time she finished setting up, halfway through her setting up, my water burst. My water broke. I finally felt my water break. After 4 kids, fourth delivery, and this is the first time I feel my water break. And it was just like a balloon in your belly bursting, a water balloon, and just gushing out of you. And it's all warm water. It was just like weird, but it was interesting. I was happy to have experienced that. So at that point, when I told her my water broke, she was like, oh, we gotta go into high gear. So y'all, the nurses clocked in at 7 o'clock, and this little bundle of joy was born healthy and whole by 7:58. I pushed 3 times, and my baby was out. Now, I will share a little scare. It wasn't even like really a scare. It was just like in the moment. My first 2 pushes, his head came out, right? Like, he crowned, and then his head pushed out. And my husband was standing behind the doctor, and my husband said that when the baby's head came out, the umbilical cord was wrapped twice around his neck. His head was completely purple, and his body was completely pale. Do you know that the Lord and those angels were right there the whole time? Like, the enemy was really trying to take my baby out from conception. And basically, that once the doctor took the cord from around his head, all the blood rushed down to the rest of his body, and so he turned pink. And that, when he told me that, I was like, oh my goodness, and I didn't know any of that was happening when I was pushing. All I know is that I pushed like 4 times. baby was out and on my chest. So I was able to bond and cuddle with him for his first hour of life and kiss on him and smell him and let him get acquainted with me. And it was just euphoric and beautiful, and there's really no moment like that. Like, it's indescribable. It's nothing but God, and it's just amazing. But yeah, that was my labor and delivery story. I hope that you were able to get some good information from it. And if you have any questions, please comment below, and I will definitely respond to you and let you know my thoughts and my experiences. Please like and subscribe, like my video and subscribe to my channel. I love y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in, and peace and blessings. See you later.